I swear that I will tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Raise your right hand.
You have to agree that this guy is probably the most athletic and gifted basketball player that I've ever coached.
Yeah. Bit of technical difficulties, but we have the guest that we were supposed to have for today right here on the show right now. My name is Carlo Pamintuan with Magumor John, and one of the best imports of the entire 2000s in the PBA is joining us today, the flight, Derrick Brown. Welcome to the show, Derrick.
All right, thanks for having me.
Good morning to where you are right now. How's everything going, sir?
Things is okay, but our stuff going on here in the United States, we're going through a lot of difficult times. So I'm here trying to manage this right now, being on here. But I was looking at y'all just now in the meeting with Kerby and with y'all discussions that y'all was having. I was just sitting here because I know over on this side of the world, we're dealing with a lot of pain and with my culture, specifically my culture, the Black culture, and it's a serious time right now. For the family of George, who just lost his life to a law enforcer here in the United States, out of a murder, so that's a bad situation right there, and just the long history that we have here with those kind of things happening have been outstanding. So first and foremost, I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to the family and the loved ones of Mr. George. It was a serious tragedy that we all had to witness right here. It's basically like a lynching, and it hurt me to the heart to even say that. And it's real. It's just not words, and so we have to be aware of that. And then I want to say to y'all, because I know y'all over and y'all have a platform, and then being in the PBA League, which is a big platform itself, a big organization of many years and decades of being active, they have a voice for this, you know what I mean? And then for the Filipinos there in the country, that's a league that they follow and watch, and they have a history, grow up in that league. So. And it's a big thing with imports. And the majority of imports there is colored Black like myself. That's the ones they eventually bring over. So they mean the world to the league. You know what I mean? So we have to do better with the mention and be heartfelt for this whole situation, because there's also something there in that league that for imports like myself, they don't have basically you don't see like a huge mention of like an import like committee there. I don't know about now, but I know it was in that in the past. So it's just like, and then people are more harsh on imports. So imports kind of have to deal with them kind of discriminating things as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they kind of have been almost there alone, like the country's against them. They get into situations they're arguing. It's like the whole country is against them, and it got it's that kind of way. You know what I mean? If people they feel that way. So that's a privilege that they have against probably an import. There's people there. Anything they say, they probably feel that against the import, they probably feel that the country is going to be against him. And that's why with the coaches, there was a thing where the coaches don't do enough with the league with the commissioners about the maybe the abuse on the court that they might have to take on, and make terms of being fouled hard. And a coach just sending players to just give another import strenuous pain by hitting them, purposely sending players in there, just certain things. And that leads to the player getting upset, and he don't have no backup because nobody is like fighting. And you should be the first one. Anybody going to swing, it should be one of the coaches or someone to step in there, mainly to step in there and take on the fights to protect that person, because it's going to be looked at in a way where he's doing that because he don't care about the people that's the culture. He don't care about the Filipino, you know. So, and that's what happens. You know, a lot of time people are there, they get into fights, and they even getting like I guess deported and everything, you know. So those kind of things happen, and that shouldn't happen because somebody else that's from there, they ain't gonna get deported or you know put in jail or nothing like that. So it looked that different, and that leads to a lot of things, and like things that happen like this, you know, with Mr. George, you know. So that's what. So we just have to do better, and I just know that this making more like shining more like light on situations like that. Everything is not fun and games. You know, some things you have to put in place because that's just it can be a disaster waiting to happen. You know, so I just want to get that on first and foremost. You know, I want to send my blessings. So I lost a family member just recently, my cousin Kim. I want to send my blessings and prayers to her and a lot of people during the pandemic here of the virus.
Sending out our condolences to you and your family, Derrick. Actually, we had an episode yesterday about the situation that we are currently in. We had guests from the US playing here, Filipino Americans who also felt discriminated against in some points, and we had a huge conversation about it because it's all about continued education and understanding each other and where everyone is coming from. So be safe out there. I know it's a very difficult time, so take care of yourself, take care of your family, and we're very happy to at least have a conversation with you here on 2OT because a lot of Filipino fans really watched the PBA when you were doing your thing with Pure Foods back then, and they want to hear from you. So I just want to show that I came equipped. I wore my Providence shirt because I know that you're a big legend from that school, of course.
That's a nice one right there, huh?
I came dressed.
Well, that's a nice one right there. I don't even got that one.
I just bought it the last time I was there. I just bought it the last time I was there.
Yeah, I appreciate that right there, my brother. I definitely appreciate that. I'm on it. I'm definitely on it.
Derrick, just the first question was, how did you arrive in the Philippines? What happened? What was the process of you getting recruited to play basketball here in the Philippines?
Well, first of all, I came out of college. I was a projected first-round draft pick, right, for the NBA.
Yep.
So I went undrafted, and from that point, I had the options to play anywhere in the world, of course. I went undrafted. I was a projected draft pick. So I was right. So I went right in, right after undrafted. I went into free agency with the Utah Jazz. And I want to send my blessings, thoughts, and prayers to Coach Jerry Sloan, who just passed, recently, the legend. And he was real helpful to so many people's lives. He was an influential coach. He was really he had his body of work is outstanding. So I just want to send my thoughts and prayers to him as well. But I went right to Utah Jazz, and then from there, I went to the CBA, right? Because I didn't get a contract with the Utah Jazz. They had free agents. That's why we went to free agency with them, because they had free agents they had about 4 or 5 free agents that they had options to resign, but and they all did, which is like Jeff Hornacek, Byron Russell, I think Howard Isley, that Anton Carr, what they call them, the big dogs. So all those guys were all free agents, including Anton Carr. He was on his way out. He was going to retire that year. He was going to be done. He was leaving. He had, long history there. He was going to leave. And Karl Malone had paid his salary, gave him like the minimum or something to come back. Karl Malone wanted to come back like one more year.
You paid him a salary? Wow. He paid him a salary?
Yeah, Karl Malone made a serious push to have him. It was close.
Wow.
He'd been there for a long time with the team. So they were moving on, bringing in new guys, like Shandon Anderson and people that came about. So new guys that was coming around, they're getting younger and they was on their way out. And he was going to leave before Karl Malone and them guys. So I think Karl Malone wanted them to stay, so he did everything he could to have him back. So in terms of and even paying the salary, like I said, and that was the situation. So I ended up going to the CBA, and then I was there for, and I was projected to make a certain amount of the salary to be a certain, have a certain salary from a minimum to a max, possibly coming up in that year after I come out of college. So what happened when I was right there, I was like close to being signed by an NBA team. So I hung around Utah all the way until the max, until it was time for where all contracts was already finalized, right? When I got released from the team, cause I had to, right? So I ended up going to the CBA. So when I went to the CBA, the salary wasn't, it wasn't for, it's basically not for the salary when you're saying in the CBA or even like the G League now, which is going on. So it's not like for the salary, but you're close because you can get a call up, which you can't do if you leave the country and come over, go to the Philippines or something. So what happened, went to the CBA, and after a period of time, the salary that I was getting and all the travel, it was like, flying all over different cities every night. And then the salary and the overhead, it was just a lot to take on. I didn't get a call up by a certain amount of time. So contracts out there overseas, that was the last thing I wanted to do. I wasn't trying to go anywhere out of the country. Never been out of the country to play ball at night. So I was like, well, I ended up leaving the country. And it wasn't until the Philippines. I went to somewhere, they said, well, you're going to be able to go somewhere for 6 months and you'll be right back, which was like, and I was fine with that. So I ended up going to Venezuela. So I took up to Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I went over to Venezuela. I played with a team called the Mundos. De Valencia. So I played with that team, which is a popular team in Venezuela. And I ended up going there, and in which we went to the finals. Yep. So we went to the finals
How was the level of competition in Venezuela?
Oh man, you can play there, you can play anywhere. Tough as nails. Haven't seen nothing like it. You haven't seen nothing like it. It's difficult to play there because of the arenas are not the best. The weather is really extremely hot all the time. The venues are like open outdoor, like kind of venues where they got air that can come in. It's like, you know what I mean? So you get heat from outside in like an air conditioned arenas like that. So it's like real serious, and it's taking on a credible amount of people. Like even sometimes in the when you're there in the Philippines playing there, how you can be playing sometime maybe in the province where the venue, we got an out of town game and the venue may not have like no air conditioning. It's like opening on the arena, like opening for outside air. It's like, wow.
And just the humidity on the court, huh?
Huh?
Just the humidity.
The humidity is everything. And then the basketball is slippery. You putting on 3 and 4 uniforms a game. You come in at halftime, change uniforms and all your, undergarments and everything that you have.
But you still took your team to the finals.
Oh man, I mean, yeah. But I'm just saying it's serious conditions there. Yeah, and then the people was allowed to get. It's difficult, it's real difficult. But the players itself, it's a tough league. The players can play, and they're hard and strong and tough. So it's a really tough league. So after I went in there, I ended up going back to the States, and in which I was with the New York Knicks. So when I came back, I went to the New York Knicks, and now they had like a lockout. You know what I mean? So the Knicks had like a knockout, the NBA had a lockout like in 98, 99 around that time. So when I was with the Knicks, and all much respect to Coach Van Gundy, so my time over there with the Knicks, which I did extremely well with the New York Knicks during that time, like in 98, 99, the NBA had a lockout, and I did well, like I said, and that the season didn't start up until I think about February. So what happened? We there, everybody's still with the facility working out and those things, right? But we just kind of like started working out. You didn't start like practices and that, and then you had to stop or like due to the lockout. We was like practicing a little bit. Then the lockout was being extended, so it was just like we were just it's like now how people in arenas now just kind of like during the pandemic, just kind of like working out like that. So that's what we were doing, and then the contract still ain't really have no contract. And my younger brothers and siblings was back home, and one was in college already, the other one's in high school, ready to play basketball. So it was like, well, I wanted to go, and decided I was going to leave the country. I was going to go to somewhere for a longer contract now, and I wanted to leave. you know. So I ended up going over to Argentina. So Argentina had me over for a 10-month. You're gonna be here for 10 months.
Oh, 10 months contract.
Huh?
A 10
Yeah,
months contract in
10
Argentina.
months. You're gonna make like 20,000 a month. You're gonna be over there like 10 months. You're gonna get $200,000 like that, something like that. So I ended up going over there to Argentina. So that was the first place I went.
Derrick, someone just wanted to say hi.
Hey, DV.
Yeah, what's going on? How dare you have me watching you this whole time, my brother? Huh?
Hey, how's that?
That's my
Hey, how's
brother right
everything,
there.
man?
They don't know it. They don't know it. People don't know it, Curb. They don't know that's my brother right there. They don't know how close we are. Yep. Me and Kerby is close, but we have been close, real close in our time that we was at over at Pure Food. It was an honor to have him join the team, and that was everything to me because that wasn't how it was from the start when I got there, you know, in terms of with Pure Food. So when I got the Pure Food, let me say,
thanks for helping us win championship, man.
Oh yeah, come on, Curves, come on. Yeah, thank you for taking the ride. You heard?
Yeah.
Thank you for enjoying the ride, my brother.
Of course, man.
I'm saying that because you have me waiting here this whole time with no translator.
How come you're late?
Supposed to come over here and
I brushed my teeth already, man. I'm ready to sleep.
I hear you. I'm like listening to you right here. I'm like listening to Curb. I'm like, I'm over here just listening to Curb right here. You got me on here for like over an hour sitting here listening to Curb. I want to apologize to the fans out there. You was a warm-up, my brother. You was just a warm-up show, Curb. Huh? The main event is here right now. Hulk Hogan is out here now. You know what I mean?
Hey, where are you, man?
I'm up in Brooklyn, New York, my brother, Curb. Huh?
New York. New York?
Yes, sir. I'm in New York, Curb. And much respect to you. And I'm honored I'm honored and I'm grateful and I'm happy to see how you have turned out there and the name that you have made there, Kurt. So much respect to that right there. Congratulations on that. You're a legend, my brother. You're a legend.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for the love.
Yep.
You don't grow old, man.
Huh? It's all good.
You look the same.
It's all good. You know, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You know what I mean? But you keep passing the knowledge because that's what it is. You keep pushing the ball forward so someone else can keep it moving forward as well, you know, and being able to share.
What do you do? So what do you do now?
I coach and train right now. I'm a trainer. So I got my program, which I always had. I know you know, even back then, I would always tell y'all about my younger brothers and, you know, how back home I used to, you know, I was coaching and training. And so, you know, my younger brother, which became a NBA player, played Indiana Pacers, Chicago Bulls. Now he's coaching with the Pacers, you know, so that's a good thing. So that been the kind of story. My nephews and other cousins and siblings of mine, you know, other cousins and family members of mine have ended up playing college basketball and became professionals as well. So everything is well under these circumstances. Once again, with these times, everybody is kind of confused right now for students. Don't know what's going on, the pandemic, and then this racial, devilish stuff that's going on now that have always been going on, and just got to keep that in mind for sure, you know.
Kerby, what was it like playing alongside such a talented import in Derrick Brown?
Hey, he's like a workhorse, man. He didn't get tired. But one thing I remember is that you don't practice day before the game, but in game time, man, you give us like 40 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, 12 rebounds. That's what I remember with Derrick. Day before the game.
Let me cut you off with that, Curve. Let me cut him off with that.
I know you're saving your legs. I know you're saving your legs.
This is something they trend. I don't know why they're trending this. I'm told them that right there. See,
but after you left,
which Ryan
I did that also.
I'm like, hold up. They got that all mixed up. They probably need to call. Where's Ray? Where's Ray? Where's Evan at? Where's Ray Evan at right now? Where's my brother Ray at? Because what y'all saying, Ray know that Derrick Brown practiced every single day, hurt or not. They never see me aching, talking about I ain't practicing. Whose story y'all talking? What in the world y'all talking about?
Derrick,
Wait, I'm EJ right now. It's not EJ.
someone can clarify it for us, and we'll welcome him to the show right now. Someone would explain.
There you go.
Hey!
Is that
Coach
you,
RG?
Flight?
That's me.
Coach RG,
It's really nice to see you, man. Curbs, good to see you.
Major argument.
I got
Major argument happening.
Wait. He might not. You have to introduce me to Derrick Brown again.
Oh, come on, my brother. I ain't coach. Oh, come on.
Probably he didn't recognize me.
I don't even see you, coach.
Come on, Flight. You
Wait, hold on.
haven't
I know
changed, man. You still look the same.
Hold on. Where's you at? How do you know?
I
I got
haven't
you
seen
now.
it.
Now I see you. But why
Are you
in the
using a
window?
phone? Are you on a phone, Derrick? You
How
might
come you
need to
ain't on the
swipe
window?
right. Swipe
Right,
right or
right.
swipe left if you're on a phone.
Left. I swipe left. I see. I got somebody else up here. Let me click this person out.
Hey,
Marco
use laptop so you can see us all.
How is that? I
Swipe.
see Coach Ryan right there.
Can you
There
see
you
me
go.
now?
Ryan right there. I'm going left hand.
Hey, Coach Ryan is the president of Meralco now.
No, I know that. I know that. Excuse me. I know that. Excuse me.
You want
Excuse
to
me.
coach you in the Philippines, just talk to Coach Ryan.
Me and Coach Ryan. I see Coach Ryan right there. I just can't get
Can
him
you-
on the
can-
same window. You can see me, Coach? You see me?
I can see you, man. I can
Okay, I
see
see
you.
you right there.
You look good.
All right.
You really
Okay,
look
thank
good.
you, Coach. Thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah. How's everything? How's everything? I mean, I've been following what is happening in the U.S. You got to stay
Yeah.
safe, man.
Yeah.
You're still up against COVID, and now you're up against
Yeah, that's right. Discrimination.
BLM, man. BLM.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You got it, Coach Ryan. It's definitely a blessing to see you. I know that I just heard you talking. I didn't know what was your I didn't know your title until just recently. I didn't know what your job title was. I thought you was probably still coaching, or because I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't heard from y'all or anything since.
So he's signing checks.
Balloon and letting
The
them
players.
go up in the air, dancing around. And I just recently watched that myself. Yep, 'cause I didn't have it. And then I had the copy of the tape when I came home with. I had the copy of the game, right? Had all of that on tape, a VHS tape.
That's
And
right.
when I came here, I had that from the beginning. And like around 2012, we had a hurricane named Sandy here. And all of my memorabilia and everything was kind of washed away. I mean, washed away. It messed up so much of our things that we had there. Were just kind of washed away. Pictures, all of my collective item things, all the stuff like that. There was a lot of sentimental value. So I'm just kind of trying to stay strong after I lost so much. I'm talking about stuff that was from college, high school, and everything. But I was able to recover some things as well that was at another family member's house that where I originally grew up at. So I had stuff there, and I was able to recover some pictures and some videos that I had there that I used to bring home from the Philippines, and I would come there and put my things there in a room that I used to live in, and where I grew up at. So, but everything is okay, Coach Ryan. I'm doing pretty good. I want to say all my blessings to Mr. June Bernardino, as well, who had been the commissioner during the time that I was there.
That's right.
So I know he had passed over the years. So those things, I want to send my thoughts and prayers and blessings out to the legend himself, Bobby Parks. Blessings to him right there. He had been real instrumental in the efforts that he put in with imports and people there. And they call it best import, but that should be Bobby Parks.
It is. That's right. It is.
I know it. Named it. I know that. But they still calling it best import. I call it Park. We just call it Park.
How many did you win? If I can't recall right now. How many did you win?
I only won how many did I win?
Best import.
Parks won an unlimited amount. You know what I mean?
Bobby had like probably 7. You probably had like 2.
About one or two.
You had 2.
About one or two of them things, of course. About one or two of them things. Should have been about 3 or 4, but I'm just humbly saying that right there. When I first got, I didn't know what it was. When I first got airplane,
it doesn't matter. What matters is you're the best import to us.
Yeah,
that's correct. That's correct.
It's all good, man. I don't want to say nothing too big about it. It's all good. I know what it
But Coach Ryan,
when I got to the people. And Coach Ryan, I want to clear that up with you and what Curbs is talking about, because y'all keep saying that I wasn't
I did not say
There, there,
playing the game. That sounds like the other import. That sounds like everybody.
there was the big
okay.
argument, Coach Ryan, whether Derrick practiced every day or
in my
not.
career. I'm like,
Okay.
I can't believe Coach
Okay.
Ryan telling me now.
All right. So I swear that I will tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Raise your right hand.
You have to agree that this guy is probably the most athletic and gifted basketball player that I've ever coached. I coached for more than 10 years in the league, and whenever I'm asked who's the best import ever to play for me, hands down, D Brown, and nobody else comes in second.
That's right. My
So
honor right there.
that is one thing that I really keep deep in my heart. And when you ask me about practices, Kerby, are we going to, for sure, we're going to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
I cannot lie, Coach, because
for sure. For sure. All right. So he comes in.
Sometimes you rest, not every time.
Yeah. And that is the beauty
That's
of
what
this
I mean.
guy, because he comes in ready for work, and work for him is the game. So he comes to practice. He comes to practice limping, and as if he really had a hard time waking up in the morning because he was just sore. So he would tell me, Coach Ryan, I just want to tell you, God is really doing mysterious things, because I could not even see myself getting out of bed, but here I am ready to play basketball. But in the first part of practice, especially if it's drills, especially if it's defense, he would just like get into one corner and ice himself. But once you roll the ball and it's scrimmage time, all of a sudden there's like a quick vitamins that he took, and he's just ready to play. You remember that, B, right? You remember that, and you were just ready, man.
Boogo juice.
Buko juice. Buko juice.
Reason I'm be on the sidelines, maybe if you see that, it's because everybody's kind of earning their money, which is like the people on the side. What's it? Alex, little Alex.
That's right, Alex.
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 And them guys is back there massaging my knees and ankles.
Yes.
Like that. Let me come back on the court. They over there
That's
keep
right.
on.
Yeah.
They won't let me come on the court. They got my ankles and massaging and doing that kind of stuff.
Correct. But once it's scrimmage time, they all of a sudden you're ready to play. You love scrimmages, man.
Oh man, come on now. Come on, definitely. Because I play, like I always tell players now, like I play and practice. Like y'all always see me playing games every day. Y'all see me playing a game in practice, right? Because I'm always competing in practice hard. You know what I mean, right, Ryan? Coach Ryan?
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
I compete in practice hard. I compete and play and practice. We play.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's right. And when I know me and Ray, right? We used to compete just to stay motivated on the court. We used to compete in the game, in the scrimmages that we would play, right? And the whole practice, we say who's gonna come up with the most steals? Me and Ray. So no matter what drill we was doing, whether it was 2-on-2, whatever it is, anytime we get a steal, we would say, "Oh, you see, that's one more steal. I got 4 steals." The whole practice, that would keep us going. So we would come up with steal. Whenever you get a steal, we would say, that's another steal. I got another steal. So that's what me and Ray used to do. And let me say this, Coach Ryan, when I first arrived to the team, I know I was coach, and you wasn't, my coach at the time, right? So when I first got there, because I know Carlo had asked me what was they asked me when I first got there how it was and what brought me there. But I remember when I first arrived and got to the team, it was like a difficult time, even though we kind of ended up going, like you mentioned, to the finals and kind of was leading the conference and in terms of like win totals and stuff. But we was up against a lot with the other teams, because the other teams, this is during the Phil Lamb era when they first started promoting, I guess, and putting them on billboards and everywhere, magazines, and that kind of stuff was going on. When I came, I was saying, this can't be life. I can't be out here, because the guys was out there was more into. Now I don't want to put no name on it, the Phil Lambs, but life in the Philippines, it was just like especially for the basketball players, right, on the league, the PBA, it was like a lot of time going down to like places like Makati, things like that. So when the Phillies, it was like everybody is no travel. So all the players and the imports and Phillies is all in one city and one town. And when I got there, I remember like Andy Siegel, my guy Andy Siegel was, around talking about, D, come over to them. We're going to come over to my place. And then from there, we're going to meet these guys down there in McCarthy. We all eating at a restaurant out here. And when I seen that was kind of going on, it was like, and I realized, and these guys are all like American from the States, I know these guys played at, like Andy played at New Orleans.
That's right.
And then, so he was at New Orleans. You have players that was all basically from the States, so. And then we were playing against teams. I didn't know what was going on because when we played a game, I'm like, you mean to say who you on that team? I didn't know that some players was like locals. So, and we was up against a lot. And I'm telling you, one team like Tan Dwight, who had like Eric Meek, Sonny Alvarado, So they had brought over. I think was it Ronnie Fields, right? You remember Ronnie Fields?
Ronnie Fields, that's right.
You know him, right? Yeah, he was an import there, right?
Right.
Import,
Ronnie
right?
Fields.
Yeah,
Ronnie
he was
Fields,
there.
yes.
Eric Meek, Sonny Alvarado, these guys was right. There was like that was a difficult team, because them guys are all from the States, I know Sonny Alvarado played at the University of Texas. Them guys were basically from the States, and they were like kind of tough players.
You've got good memory, D. Fantastic memory, man. It's like close to 20 years ago.
Huh? I know.
It was like close to 20 years ago.
Kirby, everything. That's why I'm giving y'all that knowledge. And when they had that history, and then when when that was going on, we and our team, we had other teams had imports. They had locals that were like almost like imports. When they said like San Miguel. So when you had like you had Danny, you had Andy brother Danny, So when you had Danny playing over there, then you had Danny right? You had those guys, you had Nick, right? Velasco, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
So yes, that's Nick, correct.
You had come on, that was like that itself right there without doing no import was enough. You know what I mean? You had the guard was a Rosella, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. You still know everyone.
Fantastic.
So they already had a team without an import. You got guys that was high flyers. These guys, Danny and Danny these guys was flying all over the place. These guys was capable of getting 25 or 30 points a night, you know what I mean, on any given night. And that's what was going on versus what we had. And I didn't know what was going on with my team, but I found out that some of these guys had already had names in the league. I'm playing with Dean Doe from Marvin and Alvin Patrick. These guys already like championship winners and had already.
Correct. That's correct.
They're on their way down. They're winding down. So I'm like, wow, my guys, like, what's going on here? Then you had Andy, you had EJ.
But you had Kerby.
Yeah, Kerby was traded just before our 2002. I think that was your second or third tour of duty.
No, Curves wasn't there. Curves came around later.
That's right. That's right.
Curves came around during your time with me, Coach.
Right.
With you and Coach Eric when y'all was
because
there,
you were still coached the first time you got here. You were coached by Coach Derrick Pumarin.
Yeah, Coach Pumarin.
Yeah, right.
I know. I was Coach Pumarin, and then Roger wasn't even with us either. Roger Yacht came on with Curves when that came on right there. That was a whole different thing because all I see when I we had a player. So we had Andy, EJ Fowl, and those that none of them was hurt most of the time. It was hurt. Guys were kind of hurt. The ones that wasn't hurt, they were already had their time already. Like that's like a Dean Doe, and then brother Coach Marvin. But Dean Doe, which was the bullet, right at the time, he was quick as lightning. Everybody knew him for. But when I got there, he had already had that time already, right? But other players and other locals, I didn't understand how do they have those. You had over at Enebra, like over at Enebra, you had like who do you have? You had Martha Kigwa and JJ Helterbrand, and those guys was over there at the time running up and down. They had you to where I want to run. Them guys right there, we would run people out the building with me.
Those two guys were the Fast and the Furious.
Fast and Furious. That's right. I know. And our team was like we was kind of playing in a half court set, and doing things like that. And when I get out and run as I play, guys were behind me and guys wasn't running up the court. And then Dino bringing the ball up like he was running the general. He was a general with the ball. He's slowing it up and want the ball. So that's what was kind of going on from the beginning. And then I realized, like, well, because it was a thing too, because you had Alvin Patrimonial there on the wind down, and then he was on his way leaving, ready to come out the league, right? Because he had already had a long history there already. But he extended it and them getting, I guess, a couple of more championships, a couple of more big games, and all the above later on. And I knew I had made a big, I'm a big part of that, regenerating him and the guys that was around us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that. And then once you came about, Coach Ryan, when you came and Coach Eric and that team that we had and the surroundings that we had all the prayer, you know, champions of Christ and all that stuff that came around.
That's right. Yes.
All that stuff meant everything to us. It was like, man, we bonded like a college team. We bonded like it was a college team, all back together. We did everything together. Everybody appreciated each other and loved each other. And we had it all going. Coach Ryan, he knew, you know, it was good to have him in, because I know Coach Ryan was young at the time. He knew how I played and spoke to me. He appreciated my game and how I was with the guys and how they all loved me and how I treated the people. So he would tell me things and he allowed me to play. And he would tell me he knew that how I played and from practice and talking to him. So he would tell me, he know when we're going to win. He told me, he said, oh, D, okay, after all the practice stuff, he said, yo, he looked at me and know, like, oh, how we going to do today, D? You know, the DB, we going to do okay? How we going to do today? And I said, we got this, Coach Ryan. We got this. Okay,
that's right. Hey, D, do you remember our first game? We were up against Stock and Text and their American coach, Bill Bano. They were playing Honeycutt and Richie Fram. I was like, how are we going to win against this big-named coach who was coaching UNLV one time? And here I am, a 29-year-old guy, but I had the biggest weapon in D. Brown. I think at that point you were unstoppable. And Kerby, can you imagine Kerby, who was just probably like 20, 21 years old, who was like
I know.
Raw emotion and passion and energy.
Yeah, Coach Billy Bano, right? Coach Billy Bano, he ended up coaching college basketball for a while. Then he went over to the CBA.
Right. And it's in the U.S. It's with the Indiana Pacers now.
Yeah, I know.
The Pacers,
You and my brother coaching over my brother. My younger, he might be tuning in now. I think my younger brother, right? My brother Norman is with the Pacers right now.
Oh, yeah?
Brother,
okay.
He played there, though.
Right. Of course.
You remember my younger brother I told you back home at the time?
Of course, yes.
All right, so so he ended up playing with the Pacers and the Bulls, and now he's coaching over there. He's coaching there, and he's an intern. He's an intern head coach with the Fort Wayne Mad is the G League right now. So he's there as well.
Derrick, Coach Ryan, I'm really sorry to cut you off, but Kerby Raymundo, as you know, has a business that he will have to take care of. So we will have to say goodnight to him because he will have the chickens waking him up early tomorrow morning. So, Idol Kerby, maraming salamat sa pagsama sa amin. Thank you, Kerbs.
Ang tagal na niya, kanina pa yan eh.
For saying hi to Derrick Brown.
Hey, I'll see you again, okay?
Hey, much respect to you, Kerbs. I
never
forget that one dunk. What was that in game? Again, one I think it was like, and one that came right down the middle, curves, and took over everybody right there. It brought a lot of joy to me, man, to see when Curves came around dunking in basketball and had another dunker part of the team. He said, okay, we got somebody else that can dunk.
Hey, be extra careful, huh?
Huh?
New York, right?
Yes, New York.
Be careful, okay? Stay healthy.
Definitely will, Curbs, and I'll see you shortly. I'll see you soon, all right?
Coach.
Thanks, Curbs.
Curbs, I'll see you again. More of this,
Good
Curbs.
night.
More of this. Good night.
All right.
All my love, Curbs, all right? Send your family the best. All right? Send my best. All right.
All right.
Coach Ryan, I just have a question for you. Heading into that 2002 PBA Governors Cup, it was a weird conference because of the Philippine team. Some of your stars were taken out of your squad. But did you feel that it was going to be something special?
Well, to begin with, I was not supposed to be the coach. I was ready to be an assistant coach for the long haul. I thought Coach Eric Altamirano did a great job constructing that team and bringing DB back in our fold. Leon White was also there to complement the game of DB. Was I really entertaining grand thoughts of winning the championship? Initially, no. all I wanted was not to be 0-12 or 0-11 because there were like 12 teams. But things started to come along after winning that first game against TNT. We were able to string up 3 straight wins in the first 3 games. Then slowly but surely, our confidence level we're starting to be on an all-time high. And what was so nice was when I was watching DB early in his career in the PBA, he was just an unstoppable, immovable force every time he attacks the basket because he is just so strong with his upper body. He can just bring everybody with him. On the next year, he developed that perimeter jumper wherein it's automatic. Then when he came and played in 2002, all of a sudden his range started to be farther away from the basket. He also had that three-pointer. So his game has been so good in terms of PBA play. And what is so amazing was his countless and boundless energy. Every time you give him that ball in the break because of his great hands, he will just finish with impunity. And the thing that separates him from the other imports also is his ability to be a magnet among his players, among his teammates. He was just a unifying force inside the locker room that every time he speaks, he follows it through with action. And I haven't talked to you like this after winning a championship, but those are the things that I really admire you when you were doing that before. And believe it or not, man, that championship eventually opened the doors for me to coach in the PBA for a long time. And I have a lot of people to thank for, and that includes you.
Thank you. I'm honored for that, Coach Ryan. And congratulations on how the long career that you have had, which starts like around that time and then a little before that. But congratulations to you. It's another living legend right here. This is a legend right here. This is my coach right here. And I heard him speaking in terms of how, with him being that young that he was when he came in, but he didn't come in with a force and try to dominate his position of being the head coach there. He kind of became one of us. So like Ryan became like Coach Ryan was like almost like one of the players, you know. He didn't bother the players too much. People respected him and they kind of loved Coach Ryan, you know. So that was a big thing. So Coach Ryan coaching us, that was the big difference right there with having Coach Ryan as a coach, because we had the team
was
already.
We
had a lot
easier?
of time to play.
Was it easier because of how Coach Ryan approached you guys when he came in that young? Was it easier to buy into what he was trying to sell to you guys?
You know, yeah. But I don't think it's just that. I think it was because Coach Eric was along with him. If he was just by
That's
himself,
right.
it would have been a different kind of fight, a different way. But Coach Eric was always like around, and his wife and family, they was kind of right there. They had that bond. So Coach Eric, he didn't kind of overstep. No, he was right there. He was just around. But Coach Eric just coming around and pat us on the back and be there. And Coach Eric had been a big part of having them two together, because we know Coach Eric was our, you know what I mean, Coach, he was our motivator. Coach Eric, just seeing Coach Eric in the building with Coach Ryan, you know, was a big thing. So Coach Ryan, whenever time I looked at Coach Ryan, I already knew Coach Eric was right there along with us, even though he wasn't there in the practices and all that kind of stuff. I know he was a part of the family and everything that took place that Ryan was doing, Coach Ryan, that Coach Eric knew every move that he was.
That's right.
So he wasn't, even though he wasn't always in the practices with us, but he knew he was all a part of everything that Coach Ryan was doing. He knew everything that Coach Ryan told us, and so he'd come right in and say, "Okay, yeah, Coach, you know, he keep right is right. They didn't miss a beat with one another. So their connection together had really made us strong. And when I tell you a team that we was family, we were family, and that's how we had it. And then it helps with me being an import that I am, because I didn't have no habits of like I don't smoke. I never smoked before and drunk anything, no alcohol, no beer. I don't do none of those things. You know, I didn't have like no nightlife out here in terms of going out. The people that I became more probably popular than anybody that ever probably lived there. I'm talking about locals or anybody, they know that. So when you had a person like myself, and then you had Alvin Patrimonial, Mr. World to the people, and with us two going around, Mr. Parado, he knew that when we had us two, because Alvin was already that. So when I came in, they probably never seen an import that came in with that kind of respect and honors from people that was around. So that's who I am at heart. That's how I am here and everywhere I have been anyway. High school, around my community, that's how I've always been. So when I came there, people, we're in Philippines, they're a judgmental place. You there, they're going to judge people. They're going to judge players. When I first got off the airplane there, they're like, oh, the taxi driver. They said, oh, in 1985, there was once a guy who came here before. He came here, I think his name was, I forgot his name, but his number was 35, was at the time, all the stories, they tell you history from way back. Muhammad Ali once was here, he sat right there in that space. He gave me this tip. He's still, look at this. This is what he gave me. They got all that kind of stuff goes on. They still got stuff in their car. Like,
Derek, speaking of that, just speaking of that, we have a very interesting comment. His name is Miguel Valenzuela. He said, maybe he doesn't remember, but D Flight gave me his jersey to me back in 2002 after Game 3 of the PBA Governors Cup Final. So some people are still keeping memorabilia that you gave them, like what you are telling us now.
Look, hey, Miguel, I'm on it. Much respect to you. More blessings to you. D Brown, we did our thing there. We went for a long ride. He was a champion along with me, because we had that bond. I know I had that connection with fans and people there. They're not fans of mine there. Those are families to me. Philippines have always been in my heart. I went to a place and my personality and who I am, it kind of like fit in with the people that I was there. So, and I'm from an inner city place, so I'll go places. I remember like Mr. Pardo, he would see certain things that I would do and how giving and caring I was. That's with the staff and everybody. So he would tell me when he say, hey, DD, look, hey, you got to be careful out there. You got to watch that. Don't give everybody your things like that. You don't do that. You got to watch the people. Don't just trust the people like that. You got to watch them. You're not like that. Everybody's not, So you just be careful. They love, but you have to be careful because you don't know. You can't just go out and do those things. And he heard I went to a certain community to go in. Sometimes my driver would take me in certain places. I'm just going there to get like a load, the phone call. What a smart buddy.
Phone card. Yeah, the phone card.
The 3800, 5230. I don't know all that kind of stuff was going on. Smart buddy and all them cars right there, talking, texting. I had them cars, and that's where all my money was going there. I spent thousands of dollars calling back home. And then I had to dial up internet.
Yeah.
Get the dial up internet, had to load the car, and went, ding, 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 ding. All that stuff. I'm doing all those things, right? So I'm sitting there waiting for the dial up internet cards, and it's some of the things that I was buying, they have told me that, D, we can't have you. I can't so popular. I couldn't go to certain places at all. So what happened, drivers and people that was around me, they would go and take trips, and I would get like calls. I told them I'll get like 20 of them. I'm getting like 20 phone calls at the time. Phone calls. These things were like, what is it? What's those? The 1,000 peso, right, Bill? Right? 1,000 pesos, right? You got 1,000 peso, right?
Yeah. Right.
So they take the 1,000 peso, and I'm taking those. I'm sending driving and people getting 1,000 peso. I'm sending them to get like 20 cars, and I'm spending hundreds of dollars. They're changing it over, and they're going and buying cars from me, and I'm spending those in a day. I'm doing the same thing the next day, and I'm just talking to my family members back home. My phone calls would be, I'm talking for like an hour a call. When I call back home, talking to my family a whole hour, exhaust all the cars I have. I send them back out another time next day or something for a whole nother load of cars like that, and that's what I've been kind of doing. This is before
there was no Zoom. There was no FaceTime back then.
Zoom? What is Zoom? There was no window phones, and cyber world wasn't around yet. So I would go to they had even though they had those internet cafes as well, I think, I remember doing some of those things. So, but the main thing was those cards. And I was telling Mr. Pardo years ago, I said, wait, I want to get a plan. How can I get a phone with a plan? Why you got to put these cards? I said, no, if people don't have, that ain't how it works. So you can't have a plan. See, my phone he had a phone that has like a plan, regular phone. So I thought that you can get that. You got to, I think it's like a phone bill and I have that, but no, you couldn't have, Oh, let me tell you this. I came there, we had the the bad typhoon, which I lived in. I think we lived in Shangri-La, living in Shangri-La for like a whole. This is during the Derrick time. I lived in Shangri-La for I lived there for like about a month or two in the Shangri-La Hotel. So I
Must
was
be
in
nice.
there, and when I first got there, I made a phone call back home. And when I made that phone call back home to my family, and I talked to them about an hour or two, and they talking about, oh, you okay? I said, no, it's flooded. My whole condo is all flooded, and I'm in here. It's like messy outside. I don't know. So when I got off that phone call, and when Mr. Pardo had said, hey, it was time for me to be paid, right? Coming up. So he said, hey, Mr. Pardo, okay, hey, DB, come here, what's going on? How are you? Hey, be careful with the phone bills, man. That's the phone bills. You gotta be careful. Many calls over there. So I said, no, I know. He said, yeah, because those things are expensive, right? So I said, yeah, I know. Yeah, so I'm just telling you, he had already knew. He had already seen the bill. He said, I'm just making sure because you make calls. I said, yeah. He said, okay. So he ended up bringing me. He told me, he brought me something to pay for. He said, yeah, look at your bill right here. This is what the bill is. The bill was like about $5,300, something crazy like that. Literally.
Coach Ryan,
Ryan, literally. He know, Coach Mr. Pardo, he knows. The bill that I had at this place, at the end of it, it was like about almost like $5,000 on this bill at Shangri-La Hotel in my room. Just on my room. This on a little
just for the phone calls.
For an hour there, another hour that time, 30 minutes is calling back home.
I wanted Coach Ryan to comment on this because Elvin Nagasnal says, nice to see the flight, Derrick Brown. D Brown is the best import in Pure Foods franchise, no doubt. Coach Ryan, you've always maintained, you've always said this. The best import you've always coached was Derrick Brown, but you know the game, you know the league, you, of course, know the Pure Foods franchise. Is that arguable or is that fact? D Brown's the best import in franchise history.
Well, for me, I've coached for more than 8 years. And remember how the season is done, meaning you have 2 imports in 2 conferences and 1 all-Filipino conference. So you just imagine the number of imports that I was able to coach throughout that span. And right now, and I've said that earlier, if there is one import who will always be at the top of the list, it's got to be D. Brown. It is a confluence of a lot of positive things that he brings on the table. And look at him. He's just a fantastic storyteller. And that is how he will hypnotize you when he just wants to like rest his aching body every now and then. But the moment you blow the whistle and it's time to play, he will forget everything and he will just be focused on the things that we needed to do for us.
Coach RG, I think now we know why you guys got along.
We're both storytellers.
The storytelling match, it's a great match.
Storyteller.
You know, Derrick.
I just watched Coach Ryan the other day talking about storyteller. I was watching you talk the other day, Coach Ryan. I was back watching Coach Ryan. Like, now you see Coach Ryan in a long time. I'm sitting here like here's Coach Ryan right now. You know what I mean?
Derrick, one of the clearest.
Talk about coming on again. He was like, yeah, that's why I would like to come back on too again. So I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm glad to see Coach Ryan out. Like he was saying, like, see, when we get a chance to share these kind of, Coach Ryan was saying the last time, and everybody don't get to that point. Young players wouldn't understand it, and people, but you get to a point where you just enjoying it, because he came through the process of where he is now. So now you can kind of sit back and enjoy it. He didn't just run through the process. He came through all the real steps of having to go through this level, that level to get to this point. And now it just kind of can enjoy it because he never talked about these things, like on a platform like this, or we haven't shared none of these stories or spoke about some of this stuff. Because life wasn't like this for us when we was doing these things now, like we're talking about now, because we were serious. You were professional. Coach Ryan was always professional with it. And I appreciated all of that. But we didn't have nothing like that. We wasn't doing none of this right here. but we always enjoy it. And they had a thing called and I was always motivating everybody that was there. And we had the DB clap, you know what I mean? Which they know how to heard it. I'm like, wait,
That's right.
DB clap, Coach Ryan, the DB clap.
That's right. Yeah, DB.
Really? The DB clap.
I remember that, man.
That carried us all the way through, the DB clap. You know what I mean? We always finish it with the DB clap. And that's what at the end that we kind of played, and we went with when they called us in, we be, at the end of the practice, they'd be calling everybody, all right, come on, and we start walking in. We know we got a game coming up the next day. So that'd be the big one. There's nothing like, that was the best days when we know our game, we had a game coming up the next day. So those practices were always great because we brought it in. That meant a lot. When we brought that in after that practice that day, the night before our game, that next day, then those practices were big, because we talked afterwards. We came together and we bonded, and we did the DB clap. We prayed, and it was a great time. That we knew we were going to go out and play because we were on the same page. So Derrick, that was a good thing.
One of the clearest memories of me watching the PBA when I was young was you dunking at the end of Game 7 in that Alaska versus Pure Foods match.
Was that the free throw dunk?
Yep, that was
almost
very close to the free throw dunk. And Coach Ronnie Magsanok just hugging you after getting fouled and doing that dunk. Just before we end this program, you clearly resonated with Filipino basketball fans. I'm a fan. A lot of the people watching now are also fans. Coach Ryan Gregorio, his opinion is that you are the best, import that he has ever coached. So we have so much respect for you. Just before we end,
just check my inbox. Just check my inbox. This ain't the first time we're hearing from the fan. Check my inbox. I'm seeing things I gave away, pins and whatever.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Items in my inbox right now. They send me all the time and say, "Oh, you once gave me this, and this is signed." They show me all that kind of stuff. And
just finally, Derrick,
I always give them my best, and I write them back.
A message, just a message for Filipino basketball fans before we end.
Oh, me? A message.
Yeah.
You want a message on?
For all your fans still here in the Philippines.
Salamat. Nah, let me say that first. The culture, I just want to let you know, even though I'm not there, the culture, I have adapted the culture. I'm in New York City. I have been, when I go in medical centers, hospitals, I have been hospitalized before here, even after my time of being in the Philippines. We're in the hospital. And even now, whenever I go to the hospital, medical centers, whether it's with myself or family members, we have a huge Filipino population here in New York City, as I'm sure y'all know. And then especially in certain medical facilities, so I have been put time in hospitals where every time I'm going in a hospital, I can't go in other hospitals anywhere here or anywhere, because once somebody know that's me from the Philippines, it's over with. They run me around to every doctor and RN in the hospital. Derrick Brown, and then they come together, all the people that's from the homeland, and they start telling stories, and they actually go through this whole thing like I'm doing now, and it's happened to me every single day of my life here. This is how it is with the people from the homeland, and it's an honor to me. Even my grandmother right now, every time she has to go for an appointment, she's somewhere where they have nurses in a primary doctor's appointment. They work in like the receptionist and people working there. So every time they see her, they bring the Philippines up, invite around them. They say this is Derrick Brown's grandma, and he's a player back in the home. He played in the PBA, and they telling everybody stories. And then if it's another person from the Philippines that they knew, they start telling them, "This is Derrick Brown. This is grandma." Say, "What's Derrick Brown?" Derrick Brown was that, and then they be looking it up. They try to get a picture with my grandmother. If they don't know me, they try to find out. They call them back home. Their family tell them back home, "Oh wow, I know who that is. Send them, get a picture," and that kind of stuff. So I want to tell the people in the homeland, all love to y'all, much respect to y'all. I want to send a hello to the family back in Antique, the Batchitza Silva family. Blessings to y'all. All my love and my heart is here with y'all. Be careful, and everything will be good after the lockdown, because I know the lockdown is going on there in the Philippines. But we will overcome that. Just stay safe and careful. All my love sent to y'all. I love the place very much, and I carry a part of that in my heart here as I go around. I haven't left from there because each day that I go around here, and my family tell me all the time, hey, don't ask that person if they're from the Philippines. That's what my family tell me. Because every time I go somewhere, I can identify, So not just from the voices. I hear the voice, speaking English, and I'm hearing people ordering something in front of me and my family, and they're ordering, and they turn around, and she'll say to her son or a family member or a husband, to me, and I was like, hello, how you guys doing? Are you guys from the PI? And they said, what? Excuse me? Excuse me? You guys from the PI? I said, huh? No, you guys, I don't ever come out of the Philippines. I don't want to start with like that or think I'm saying something that's going to like discrimination or something. So I was like, oh, you from the Philippines? Huh? And listen clear, I said, no, after you guys from the Philippines or yes, why? Why you saying that? What? Yes, yeah, we from why? And I go right in and say, yeah, and I tell them I spent my time there. I tell them I had lived over a certain amount of years, and I would bring up the pure food. I put up the PBA and tell them I bring up pure foods, and right away there it is. That's what anytime I get a chance to come across somebody there, and some of them are still in touch. We're still friends and communicate now from afar. They got my contacts, and some of them have brought their nephews and stuff to like my basketball mentoring through basketball program. So they kind of brought them around over there. Some of them kind of grew up in my thing, and I'm trying to keep them afloat, trying to get them in the NBA. But I'm saying I can get y'all to the Philippines right now. You know what I mean? I'm telling some of them that. Some kids are like 10 years old, but I'm working them out from the Philippines, and they don't know. Some of them don't even mention because they were born. Some of them was born and raised here, but their parents and family, they was even there when I was there. And their kids is in my program. But some of them have been there probably once and those kind of. But anyway, I want to say that y'all in my heart and soul there. Derrick D. Flight Brown, as y'all know, the flight is watching everything that y'all do when y'all mention me on these different trending things that come up. With this being one right now, I'm glad to be on this right here after all the years because I see different trending, and I want to tell people stop judging which end for your top 5s and 3s. Stop judging who's your top coaches, Ryan and this one. Stop putting us in brackets and categories. Stop doing that right there. People are great players, you know what I mean? There's a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches, and even the NBA they're trying to put in these top 2, who's the best and best 5. I don't feel that's fair. You shouldn't do that because by them doing that, especially with social media and these things that we have now, is putting down the other player because now you got somebody talking about the flaws of Michael Jordan, for example. Well, he only did this and he only did that. He never was able to do this or never. So now you're putting down somebody that's great. You know what I mean? In your own line of work, in our own frat hood that we have here as basketball players and coaches and owners and those things, we should be the first ones not trying to put people in categories and saying this player is better because Derrick Brown was this and this player couldn't do this or couldn't do that. And that's kind of putting down because now it's forcing people to talk about the things that the person can't do or didn't do versus what he have done. So,
but you shouldn't worry, D. Brown, because you did everything. You did everything anyway. Yep, you won everything, so you don't have to be worried at all.
No,
and we're hoping, and we're hoping that we will see some of your students playing in the Philippines as well. We're looking forward to that, and we thank you for your time, D. Brown, Coach Ryan Gregorio. Thank you for joining us as well.
Mr. Pardo is calling. He says this is an expensive phone call already.
That's
right.
I was going to thank Mr. Pardo. One time he took me, I think it was the Fort, and they had what's the Krispy Kreme donuts?
Yeah.
I'm taking to this place called a Fort. They got the best donuts you ever saw. I'm like, well, he taking me there with the Krispy Kreme. I said, oh, I know these. He's got these in the States. I think in California. He was like, well, you ever had them? I said, no, I never had them. He introduced me to those. I've been trying to get somebody to take me out to the Fort the whole time I've been in the Philippines. Never was able to go back out there. That was the only time Mr. Father we took me there.
When everything's over and everything's safe, you should come over to visit again.
Yep, we're just putting it out there. We'll take you to the Fort.
Look, it's a secret. We planning on being there in July. I was planning to be there next month, but now with this pandemic and the lockdown, that kind of changed things.
Maybe in 6 months.
I'll be over.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
For sure. I'll see you.
Right?
D, I'll see you, man. Yeah.
All right. All my love. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Very much. Love you.
Thank you very much, D. Good to see you.
All my
Take
blessings.
care.
All my blessings. Later. Thank you.